Thank you so much for joining our second webinar for the month. In October, we are now hitting the high sales season of the festive period across all markets, even though this year has been marked by the challenges of COVID, which has had a big impact on people's spending powers, etc. The festive season, however, always turns out to be a time when people are going to be spending because there is that opportunity for them to reach out to customers and for buyers to sort of like at least get into the celebration mode, and they are wanting to make their purchases, whether it is for food or fashion or getting things for the house, etc. So this does tend to be the big peak season for sales for small business owners, and which is why we are delighted to actually bring you a masterclass topic today on payments and how you can actually expand globally so that you can really leverage your business opportunities and your payment opportunities to really sort of tap into those markets beyond just locally, if you're selling only locally. Through payments is an option, right? So the earlier topic we talked about earlier this month was about leveraging digital advertising to start bringing awareness, and the topic today we're going to be talking about is something exciting about mobile commerce. And we are happy to have here with us our partners from PayPal. So we have here Simon and Samantha. Welcome. Thank you so much for doing this session with us as an exclusive webinar for us Shopmatic users. A little bit of an introduction to Simon and Samantha before I hand it over to them. Simon is the head of customer success in Southeast Asia, and he has a team here which spans across Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, etc. They support merchants in across these markets. He has 14 years of experience in sales and account management, not just in Singapore, but also having worked in UK. He's very passionate about providing outstanding service to merchants and helping businesses to partner with PayPal and expand globally. Samantha is a part of his team, and she's a digitally native person. That's how she describes herself. She's a sales specialist with PayPal and passionate about breaking barriers and accelerating business opportunities and expanding globally for small business owners. She also has prior experience in this vertical or in this domain, having worked with eBay as well, where she has consistently sort of like helped customers to onboard and sort of expand globally. I think what comes through very clearly from both of our speakers today is their deep experience with small business owner customers, especially in the e-commerce space, and their passion to help these customers to grow and expand and partner with top-notch partners like PayPal to grow the business. So without much further ado, I'd like to hand over to Simon and Samantha. Once again, welcome.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. As Uma mentioned, my name is Simon Hilton. I manage the customer success team for Southeast Asia. Our team work with merchants to help them grow and optimize their business with PayPal. And we support customers in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam. Today, I'm joined by Samantha Tan. She's from the Southeast Asia Inside Sales team, as we bring this webinar to Shopmatic and PayPal customers to discuss the growth of mobile e-commerce and the importance of optimizing your store and checkout flow to take advantage of this switch in consumer behavior. As we enter probably the most important selling season for many merchants, it's critical to be able to be set up to take full advantage of the opportunity. This is why we're excited to be joining you today alongside Shopmatic. PayPal is pleased to partner with Shopmatic since, I think, 2016, as we both offer complementary products which enable merchants to successfully launch and grow their businesses. Samantha will later give further details about the relationship and how Shopmatic merchants can easily integrate their stores with PayPal. Before we begin, I would like to briefly run through the agenda for today's webinar. I'm going to start with discussing recent consumer e-commerce trends, some highlights from the PayPal Mobile Commerce Survey, and the wider switch to mobile e-commerce. I'll then hand over to Samantha, who will talk about the PayPal two-sided network, and also talk about how you can accept customized local payment options for our product called Smart Payment Buttons. Localized and customized payment options help drive higher conversions. This is a topic I'm sure many merchants will be keen to hear about on this call. We'll then spend some time discussing merchant profiles and how this can determine the success of your e-commerce business. Finally, we'll then detail the steps on how to link your Shopmatic account to your PayPal account, and there'll be time for a Q&A at the end. We can ask any of those questions you may have thought of while we've gone through this. If we had to choose one word to describe today's consumers, connectivity would surely rise to the top of the list. Mass adoption of new technologies means consumers' demands are heightened. Today's consumers expect to get what they want when they want it. Never before has it been so easy for consumers to make a purchase. Never has there been such a wide range of different options available. However, the shopping experience is still primarily driven by the customer, researching items, then adding them to their shopping cart, and finally making payment. As there's such an abundance and choice, it's also easy for consumers to give up and move on to another option if they get frustrated with the process. 2020 has been a hugely significant year for the growth of e-commerce. The spread of COVID-19 has made many consumers question the need to shop in physical stores when they can safely and securely shop online. Furthermore, the perceived risk or fear of handling cash has accelerated the adoption of digital payments and the decline of paper money in many countries. By some estimates, the events of 2020 have accelerated this digital adoption by 5 years, and it's unlikely that consumers will ever fully return to their shopping habits of before. The reason there's been a lot of excitement around smart shopping, whereby an app or store personalizes the shopping experience, provide added convenience. For example, Walmart in the US partners with Google on voice-activated grocery shopping, which works across Google Assistant power platforms, including their smart speaker displays and side watches and more. By learning a shopper's profile, the store can then make tailored recommendations for additional purchases with access to reviews and guidance from other consumers. Consumers' purchasing decisions of today and tomorrow are based upon convenience and value, but the path to purchase has shifted dramatically. It's become much more complex with technology interfaces at every touch point along the way. Most purchases now are a mix of online and offline interactions. Consumers discover products in store, on websites, or through social media or advertising. Prices are compared offline versus online. Blog reviews provide comparisons and feedback. Ultimately, though, whether to buy online or offline depends on convenience, time, and price. And crucially, every shopping experience, good or bad, influences the next purchase decision. While we cannot predict the future, the shopping experience continues to evolve. Today's consumer already automate purchasing by linking up with smart home devices, such as Google Home. Retailers can then predict when you're running low on a particular product and automatically send you another before you run out. While this all represents an opportunity for merchants, it's ultimately the consumer who's in the driving seat. Never before has it been so vital to provide a seamless shopping experience to remain relevant. At the end of last year, PayPal commissioned 2 surveys to gain insights into 3 main areas. One was payment behaviors, another drivers and barriers to mobile commerce, and finally to understand the readiness and acceptance of both consumers and businesses to adopt mobile commerce. PayPal had witnessed the drive to mobile for our business and conducted this research to better understand which markets and demographics were embracing the technology and whether were slower to adapt and why. PayPal surveyed around 22,000 consumers and over 4,500 businesses about their shopping habits for the research, and we're going to discuss a few key highlights with you today in this webinar. Firstly, in terms of adoption, 18 to 34s are significantly more likely than any other age group to use smartphone payments online. Almost 9 out of 10, or 87%, have used them in comparison to 6 out of 10 over 50s. While consumers aged 50 plus are the age group least likely to shop online with their smartphone, 6 in 10 is still a notable population. Business may be leaving money on the table by not delivering optimal experiences on mobile devices. In terms of the type of optimization, businesses are more likely to have optimized a website than to have got a specific mobile app or mobile store. Over 50s are more loyal to legacy devices for online shopping, with well over a third preferring to use a laptop or desktop to pay for things online, compared to around 1 in 4 preferring a mobile device. Preferences differ by gender also. Women are more likely to pick smartphone as their go-to device for online shopping. In fact, women are 23% more likely to choose a smartphone for this than men. As well as being the most likely to use a mobile device for shopping, 18 to 34s are also more likely to be mobile impulse buyers than older age groups. Research shows that 1 in 3, 18 to 13-year-olds have made a spontaneous purchase on their mobile device, in comparison to 1 in 4, 35 to 49s, and around 1 in 6 over 50s. Businesses who proactively support mobile commerce could benefit from this level of impulse purchase, given the ubiquitous challenge around mobile conversion. At home relaxing is by far and away the most common scenario for mobile commerce, almost twice as likely as any other situation, which might be a surprising fact to many of us. There are many interesting differences to note. Almost 1 in 2 consumers in India and Brazil use their smartphones to shop online while in bed, compared to 1 in 3, which is the global average. 1 in 10 consumers admit to using their smartphone in the bathroom as well. This grows to almost 2 in 10 for consumers in Italy and Brazil, while consumers in Japan, Germany, and France are more modest, with only 1 in 20 or less admitting to use their smartphone for mobile commerce while in the bathroom. It's also worth noting that the use of smartphone in person while at the shops is relatively low at this point in time, with only 1 in 5 doing this. Women are more likely than men to use their smartphone for mobile commerce in relaxing in-home situations, such as in front of the TV or in bed at the end of the day. In comparison, men are more likely to shop online via smartphones while at work. Men are also more likely than women to use their smartphone to pay for things online or on-the-go situations, such as traveling for leisure or while in store. 18 to 34-year-olds are more likely to conduct mobile commerce as part of the on-the-go situations, such as waiting in line, on the way to work or uni, or out with friends, while 35 to 49s are more likely to use them at work. This may be indicative of their life stage and having less time to themselves at home. Men are also more likely than women to make mobile app purchases on a weekly basis. 18 to 35s and 35 to 49s are similarly more likely to make mobile app purchases on a weekly basis. Consumers aged 50 or above are still very likely to make mobile app purchases, well over 8 to 10 in the past, but a much lower frequency to younger groups. Mobile shoppers purchase across very similar categories, whether using mobile apps or mobile commerce more generally. Larger businesses with 10 or more employees are more likely to be optimized for mobile. These mobile-ready businesses are also more likely to invest in omni-channel optimization, such as accepting payments on social media or accepting international payments, making it even harder for smaller businesses to compete. Mobile businesses are also generally adopting a more customer-first approach across multiple areas of their business. These businesses are 34% more likely to allow customer reviews on their website than a non-optimized business. And mobile optimized businesses are 42% more likely to have read or responded to customer reviews. I'm pleased to say that Shopmatic stores are fully optimized for mobile, so their merchants are able to take advantage of this increased opportunity. I'd also like to just quickly briefly touch on purchases made via social media. Consumers in India, Brazil, and Mexico are most likely to have adopted social commerce, with well over half of consumers in India using this channel. Another 1 in 2 businesses intend to start accepting payments via social media, either in the next 6 months or at some point in the future. Larger businesses are all more likely to accept social commerce, with over 1 in 2 with more than 300 employees accepting via this method. Load times and payment problems are also key reasons for not interact with a business via mobile, both of which creates friction in a channel defined by convenience benefits. Consumers in the UK and Australia are more likely to cite load times and payment problems as barriers to mobile commerce. With 3 in 4 consumers in Australia and the UK on mobile, businesses risk losing out to competitors who can't overcome these experience issues. Many businesses claim to have optimized for mobile, but are they really fully optimized for mobile? Knowing that your preferred payment method is available early in the process could act as a way to reassure mobile shoppers that an e-commerce business is secure, as well as reassure consumers who may need to use a certain method for money management. They're not wasting their time on a purchase they cannot complete. The most preferred payment method on a mobile device amongst mobile shoppers is PayPal, which you might say, I would say that, but it's 35% higher than the most preferred payment type, which is credit cards. Additionally, well over half of online shoppers say they feel more secure shopping on international stores when PayPal is available. This concludes my segment of the webinar today, but acts as a good segue into our next topic, as Samantha will now give a brief overview of the PayPal network and then illustrate how you can ensure that your customers have access to their preferred payment methods when shopping on your stores. Samantha.
Okay, thanks, Simon. So I'm just going to go to the point on why PayPal, right? So we actually have a two-sided network. So what do you mean by a two-sided network? We not only know our customers well, but we also know our merchant and developers. So currently today, we have over 346 million active customer accounts. And just from the start of 2020 until end of until end of Q2 2020, we've already processed over 7 billion individual transactions. Okay, on the merchant and developers end, we currently have 26 billion merchant and developers. And through an independent study, right, our checkout conversion rate is extremely high at 88.7%. Currently, PayPal is available in over 200 markets and we accept 100 over different currencies. So today I would like to introduce one of our newer options, which is Smart Payment Button. So what is the concept of Smart Payment Button? We actually leverage on it to personalize payments and actually help drive higher conversion. And simple as that, the value is one simple integration drives many, many benefits. So the impacts are below. So the first one is seamless checkout. Second is we are suited very much for cross-border commerce as well as local. Third is one-touch acquisition, which I will explain in the later slide. And on the fourth, dynamic presentment of payment options. Now, this is something that's very important. If you take a look at the left side of the screen, the payment options displayed is going to be the more relevant ones to each individual market. So for example, in the US market, they will be able to see additional options such as Venmo, PayPal credit, whilst EMEA, they will not see Venmo, but they will see something else different that's relevant to them, such as Ideal. Right. The next thing that we have is actually shopper insights. It's quite important for us to know where our shoppers are from, what where are they actually from and so on. Yeah, then the last part would actually be customization. So PayPal Smart Payment Buttons is not only what you see on the screen, you can highly customize it to suit your website. And what is the end result? We significantly provide seamless checkout, give many payment options, and in the end, it will actually increase the conversion rate. So the customized payment options, as mentioned, it actually based on where the customer, the buyer is from. So if let's say the customer is from the US, they will most likely see something on the right. And if let's say they are from EMEA, they will see the options on the left. But we not only cater to just US, EMEA. So I see just now some people say that you are selling in Asia. Yeah. So a lot of us are trying to penetrate right now into the China market. So not only we offer our Visa, Master, Amex in China, but we also have the capability to accept Union Pay. Now, what happens if you decide to sell to Japan? Visa, Master is great, but something very local over there is something called JCB. If you decide to expand to Australia, then you have the banking options, and to the rest of the world, the individual alternative payment methods. Okay. So just now during the smart payment button slide, I was mentioning something about One Touch. Now this is a very interesting feature. So what One Touch does is actually when the buyer registers for One Touch, the device actually recognizes the PayPal account on it. And in future, if let's say they go into another website that offers PayPal as a payment method, they no longer need to log in. So this is not only on the mobile phone itself, but it works on the desktop, the laptop, and also the iPad. Yeah? Then the one on the right is actually the in-context checkout. So in-context checkout basically shows the PayPal overlays on your web page. So it makes the buyer feel as though that they have never left your website. A lot of payment options, when they go towards the redirect method, the buyer actually feels that they have left your website, and therefore the trust is a little bit down, and therefore it does affect the conversion rate. So I'm going to show a case study on a Singapore e-commerce merchant that we've did a research on A/B testing for 2 months. So we actually initially pitched the smart payment button to one of the Singapore e-commerce merchant. Okay, so prior to them actually turning it on fully, they were using the static PayPal button. So we actually convinced them to do a A/B testing between the static payment button and as well as the dynamic payment button, which is smart payment buttons. All right. So after that, what they see is actually with the smart payment buttons, they saw a 2.3 lift in average order value and also a 2.8 increase in revenue per visit. Right. So based on these results, the merchant actually ended up fully converting to PayPal smart payment buttons. Sorry, Simon, yeah. Okay. So now we're going to talk about seller profiles. So seller profiles is something that is not just for PayPal. So it's not just for PayPal, but this is actually relevant to all payment gateways. So the first thing I want to talk about is risky merchant profiles. So risky merchant profiles, they are actually comprising of 4 main key points, okay? So the first one is actually having a weak business model, okay? Second is unreliable shipping. Third is quality products. The products are not quality and also the terms are not clear. And also finally, the processing performance. So what do we mean about weak business profile? The first thing is, of course, there is no customer service in place. Second part, it's actually a business individual with no registered entity, or also something that is not very good, which is an unknown entity, which what we call is shell entities. The third part is, of course, marketing cost is higher than 60%. Actually, even if it's 50%, it's pretty high. Yeah. Then the last one is, if let's say you are selling products that you do not own, please go towards suppliers that have contracts. Suppliers that have no contracts or have weak ratings on wholesale sites are definitely a big alarm for us. The next part is the unreliable shipping. So when we talk about unreliable shipping, a high percentage of the items delivered are actually later than the promised date, or even worse, they reach as damage. Next point would be items are not trackable. Okay. Third part is there is no tracking API integrated on your website. Now, if you're a small business, we understand that maybe tracking API is actually a heavy investment, but we should put a little bit of effort in keying in the tracking number because it's important for the buyer to know exactly where's the package. So we go down to low quality products and terms. Okay. So one thing that a lot of merchants try to do, we understand that right now it's a COVID season and everyone wants to sell face masks. But the problem about selling hot and trendy items is you may not have the capability to do the quality control. Okay. And something that goes up as a boom super fast, it can just drop all of a sudden. Second one is the items are significantly not as described. So if the item does not give you that sort of effect, or if let's say it's blue, please do not say it's black or it's in another color, because that will actually cause issues. The last part is the terms and conditions are not clearly listed on the website. Okay. Followed by the next thing is the processing performance. So anything above the chargeback level of 1%, this is actually quite alarming. Refunds, anything above 10%, claims above 5%, this is all very, very alarming, not only to the payment side, but to your business as well. So now we refer to the good merchant profile. So it is actually just the positive side of it, right? So it's a strong business model and reliable shipping, selling quality products and clearly displaying terms and conditions, and of course, good processing performance. So for the strong business model, it's very important to have reasonable marketing costs versus the revenue. Second, the customer service has to be in place, right? Third, engage with highly reputable suppliers. And fourth, have very strong inventory management. So to drill down on strong inventory management, it's not an ideal scenario if you are selling a product, listing it as available, and when people place an order, it's not there. So for reliable shipping, it is of course the high percentage of items delivered within the time frame. Second part is reliable shipping agencies use. It's best to find agencies that have the tracking capabilities. And the last one is, of course, having tracking ID API integration. If let's say you don't have it, you can still key in manually as a start. Now we go down to quality products and terms. Okay. So you have a very, very robust process for quality assurance. Second is, of course, have clear item description. And third, your terms of service and your refund policy has to be very clear. Okay. So for processing performance, ideally the chargeback should be below 0.1%, refunds below 1%, and claims below 0.5%. So based on this risky and good merchant business profiles, right, we actually have 4 key improvement points that will make a significant difference. Yeah. So the first one is select reliable shipping. I can't emphasize this much more. Yeah. So use recognized trackable courier service with reasonable fulfillment. Yeah. So if let's say I'm going to sell a product and for example, let's say I'm going to sell a brush, right? And I want to buy this brush. It would not make sense if let's say the brush takes more than 40 days to arrive. So things, very common household items, if let's say it's taking a very long time to arrive, this actually causes your chargeback, your disputes, and your refunds rate to increase. Okay. Second part, as I was mentioning, it's best that you include a tracking API. If it's automated, that's fantastic. But if let's say it's not, you can manually input it for now. Okay. The most important part is actually for your buyers to be aware of the whereabouts of their packages. So in any instance, there are possibly a delay, unforeseen delay, they are still able to tell where is their package. Right. The third one is actually to improve the description. Make sure that all the products are accurate and do not provide any false information. Even the slight false information, right, can result to people complaining and asking for a refund. So we do want to avoid that. The last one would be to include the contact information on the website. I've seen many merchants that do not put they have the basic email address, but they do not have a contact number. The easier it is, you make the buyer, give the buyer a chance to reach out to you. It actually brings back all this chargeback, refunds, and dispute lower, because it gives the buyer a chance to reach out to you to resolve the issues first. So this next part is actually how to turn on PayPal payments through Shopmatic. Yeah, so there will be two ways, which is the existing PayPal account holders. And after that, I will be speaking more about if, let's say, you don't have a business account, how to go about it. So for existing PayPal account holders, it's actually very simple. All you need to do is go to your Shopmatic dashboard, click on Setup, and click on Payment. This will be the next screen you see. The PayPal icon will be there. The right corner, you can just click on Enable. There will be the two options. So you will select the one that is, I already have a PayPal business account. Then you need to input the existing PayPal credentials, which will include your email, your API username, API password, and the signature. Now, this can be easily extracted from your PayPal dashboard site. And basically, you're done. Now we will go towards the new account holders. Okay. Same process as existing. Go to dashboard, setup, then payment. Then instead of selecting I already have a business account, you can create a PayPal business account on the spot. Yeah. Follow the guided sign up process on PayPal. Now, there's actually one very important point when registering for a PayPal account. This is a common mistake that I do see. There is an account holder to put a name. Please ensure that you do not put your business name as an account holder name. Now, the reason why we need an individual is because PayPal needs to know the authorized person that we are able to talk to. Okay. So after you go through the whole guided process, upon completion, you can just select Go Back to Shopmatic Private Limited. And that basically, you're done. Okay, so that's all I have for my section. And if you do have any business inquiries, the email address is below. You can reach out to us there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Samantha and Simon, for walking our participants through the whole opportunity of mobile commerce, sharing all the survey results that you have that's exclusively done by PayPal. It gives us a good idea of how our merchants who already have a mobile responsive website to offer to really sort of like take the leap and leverage mobile commerce, given that that really seems to be the future with respect to what consumers are using to perform all of the e-commerce actions are. And I think this is especially true for users and consumers here in Asia, who have really skipped the whole generation of having to have a laptop or an iPad or something like that to do any kind of surfing and e-commerce activities. So mobile commerce really is the opportunity. So great. So I think it gives a lot of clarity. I think what we will do now is we do have some Q&A that's coming up.